Hello everyone and welcome. Yes, my name is Arrowfire and welcome back to another episode of Look Out and Shout. And today we are reviewing Fanstoys FT-54 Warthog, their version of a G1 Powerglide. So this is come to me a little bit later from Show Z, more so than normal, and yes, you know what time it is. If it's anything that you order from Show Z, please enter the support your favourite reviewer code FIRE1. You've heard me talk about this before. Thank you very much to those who have supported me so far. So this is Fanstoys' latest offering of the G1 line, in particular the Minibots line. So we've had quite a few out already, well, some out already, and we're getting some more. We've had the likes of Beachcomber and Cliffjumper, but we've also got Gears and Swerve to come as well, and Pipes is in the pipeline, shall we say. So, with Warthog, shall we see what we get here? The box is fairly usual, nice product shots on the back of it in various poses and guises, but we'll get into that when we look at the robot itself. First off, accessories in a plastic bag. We have the collector's card with stats on the back as well as the instructions, and these are fairly, I don't want to say complicated instructions, but there's quite a few steps to them. The page is booklet's quite thick, but hey, it's there. We're going to be using those. Other accessories include a adapter for a flight stand, so if you want him to fly in, I guess, bot mode, but also jet mode, as well as quite a nice gun that he's got, almost like a pearlescent white to it. It does reflect in the light, as well as his ridiculous little green mask that a few of them wore in one episode at one point in time. So this comes with a few of them now. We see them on the likes of Sunstreaker, I think, and maybe Trailbreaker and the likes. But I've never seen anyone display their collection with these on, and I have no desire to do it on mine either. And that's it for accessories. Let's get inside the box, shall we, and look at the figure itself. And here he is in his robot mode, and that is a very clean looking Powerglide. It's certainly captured the G1 aesthetic that Fanstoys go for, so you're never disappointed in that sense. I actually am quite impressed with the colour of the red. I did wonder if it was going to look a bit too dull. In my experience, metallic red can be dull, but this pops quite well, particularly under the light. Now, let me tell you, fresh out of the box, this has trouble with its knees. If you've seen some videos, and I'll go into this in a bit more detail in a minute, but there are videos of how to correctly install the knees fresh out of the box, as well as tightening up the back of the ankles, which is always around the back. So don't be at all surprised if you get a copy of this that it's a bit floppy straight out of the box. There is a bit of work that needs to be done to this, and we'll cover that more in final thoughts as well. Let's get in for a closer look. So straight away, if I show you what I'm talking about with the legs. Now, these here, I almost don't want to do it, but I guess I have to show you. They come out the box extended like that. And there's kind of this extended knee rotation. And I saw a video on Transformers The Show by Alexis, who would say, quite rightly, you have to push these down from the thigh into the shin or lower part of the leg. And it's not a comfortable thing to do. So we'll give it a go now. And once you've done it once or twice, it gets easier. But that, for the first time, is really not fun. You've got to clamp down from the top, push up from the bottom, and even then, I mean, I know it's part of the transformation, but look what you're dealing with in terms of full ankle extension, and that being fairly easy to then transform and set back, but it also has a knock-on effect for posability. So I've seen people say, these screws around the back here, you can just see in here and in here, particularly this one, these need to be tightened up to improve a bit of stability from otherwise that. It's not great to see that, to be honest. I mean, the figure itself is very nice. I worry about the face. I love the blue eyes. They're pearlescent. They've got a reflection to it. I don't know if it's going to pick up on camera. But the face plate to the bridge of the nose and the cheeks maybe is a bit too minor. I would have liked a bit more definition there. I do like the off-white colour used on the arms. There is a reflectiveness here. And in hand, it's again almost pearlescent. So you've got like a matte red, but yet it's metallic as well. It's a solid red, but this has a reflectiveness. And I kind of wish they used this kind of paint scheme on their Preceptor, to be perfectly honest. But I worry about those legs. It wasn't comfortable, it wasn't fun, and I'm going to have to dock it some points for that. Also, nice little accessory, or should I say bonus feature. If you open up his chest piece, he's got the heart that's flashing in the end of the episode of The Girl Who Loved Powerglide. It's just stuck on there, but it's a nice little additional feature because he didn't come with a lot else. He didn't come with a lot of accessories. But speaking of which, there he is holding his blaster. Now, what's quite good about this blaster is if I open up the other hand, you can just about see there's a groove on the bottom part of the palm of his hand, and a gun actually slots upward into it, and then he clasps down to hold it in. It holds fine, there's no droopage. It's a pretty good way to hold a gun. His biggest enemy is holding poses. That's his biggest problem, because his ankles are quite weak particularly, and yeah, there's not a lot else you can do. It looks good otherwise, but it is a bit limited in that sense. Now, I've had to do this off camera because it was very difficult, but you rotate his face around for this bit, for getting on this other faceplate, and to do that, it has to kind of rotate with your thumb. You're going to need a part separator, something to give it a bit of a push, because just moving with the surface of your thumb is not a lot to bite onto. But what I would also recommend is the back of his head will come out as part of the landing gear, but if you get that out as well, it just maybe makes it a bit easier. It's a bit awkward, but you do all of that to get this. And there you go. Now you can say you've done it. His ankles aren't strong enough to hold a one-legged pose, and I think that's going to be a bit of a theme with this feature. Yeah, I have not got any bots displayed like that. Okay, now on to comparisons. Here he is alongside Fanstoys June, their version of a beachcomber, so mini-bot scale very much represented there. Here he is alongside Make Toys Downbeat, their version of a typical MP car bot, their version of a Jazz. That's probably right, maybe. I think this Make Toys is a tiny bit smaller than the Fanstoys Jive, their version of Jazz. Powerglide was never, in my mind, that much smaller. Maybe one of the taller mini-bots. The wings obviously give a different illusion, but that's a little bit closer than maybe I would like. And there he is alongside MP-44 Optimus Prime. That is much more in keeping with scale. Okay, let's get him transformed up, shall we? He certainly seems happy about it. And here he is in his airplane mode. And if you can see a plane in that, a completely joined up plane, then good on you. It's, as you can see, not fully transformed. I cannot get these wings to tap into this fuselage without popping the fuselage out. Seen a few videos on it. TM Reviews did a very good transformation of it, but this is a silly transformation, and the thing is, it's not surprising. I prepared myself for a hard transformation. When I saw the alt mode, particularly the size of the alt mode, I thought, okay, there's going to be some panels here. I was prepared for a challenge. I know it's Fanstoys. I was prepared for a challenge. But it's just silly how hard it is. And where I saw a lot of similarities early into the transformation, this part of the transformation here was very similar to their Maverick, their version of Silverbolt. And I thought, okay, so this more or less will go the same way. But it didn't. And the wings were okay. The arms here were needlessly complicated, I felt, for doing what they needed to do. But it's too fragile. What you're tabbing in the wings to on the body of the jet, again, too weak. You're trying to bite them in. You can see they're not joining. That's the best I can get out of it. And it's not complete. I can only apologise for that. It's not good for a video. Let's get in for a closer look. I do worry about taking it off the stand though. And okay, from picking it up, there you go. That's what I'm dealing with. I can't get these hinges in without knocking that out. I can't plug them in on the side. I'm sure someone will tell me I'm doing something wrong. Also, like, that peg won't go in, but the rest of them will. To make matters worse, the wheels, which it stands on the underneath, are on the wings. But if the wings aren't tabbed in, then there's no stability. It just kind of splats out sideways. I'm not impressed. I like how it looks. I like the colour, the fact that it goes into a much bigger jet than it has any right to be. but it's just not fun. And I can't criticize Deformation Space Starscream for a bad transformation and not do the same to Fanstoys just because it looks pretty. It does look pretty, but it's just, that is difficult. And I'm getting tired of difficult transformations. I'm getting tired of, not even for fear of breaking, but I'm getting tired of it being too complicated for its own good. What's the benefit of a complicated transformation? Yes, you might get a seamless alt mode, seamless, apart from a massive crack down the back of it, but it's just not enjoyable, and other companies don't do it. Why does it always appear to be Fanstoys? Fans Hobby, for an example, do bigger bots, and the transformations are relatively straightforward. This comes across yet again as too clever for its own good, and it massively docks points because, one, you don't want to put it into this mode, and two, you don't want to buy it in the first instance. It's that much of a turn-off. I'm just not impressed. I haven't found anywhere that you can store the gun, but again, I haven't tried too much, and God only knows where you're going to put this thing. Okay, on to comparisons. A bit crammed for space, but here are the two awkward transformation jets alongside Deformation Space Starscream. Very hard to get these two into shot. Here is Unique Toys' version of Octane, a bit more on the Chug or Chug Plus scale, and a typical Masterpiece Carbot to see what we're looking at for a more general scale. So what are my final views on Fanstoys Warthog? I was very concerned about seeing some other reviews early out the box, and as I say, Transformers The Show, Alexis doing a unboxing, first impressions fresh out of the box, and there were concerns on how limp it was. And yes, we know about the knees and the ankles now, but it worried me when I saw that. And I thought when I got this and I could see what you had to do to make it steady, and then I thought, well, let's get it transformed up. And again, I was prepared for a bad transformation, but let's go from robot mode into plane mode. The plane mode, the design of, is very nice. It's actually bigger than it has a right to be, and the paint on it is very, very good. I've got no scuff mark, no blemishes, but that is it. And I'll go on record to say this is the worst figure Fanstoys have released, certainly in the last year to 2 years, straight away. I do think that the mini bots are some of their weakest, and I think that could be a victim of their design, their size, what you can do with them. And this again is good, but look, come on, look. That's not high-end Masterpiece. None of this is, and this isn't new. This is a company that's been around for a while, and you can't have things together. You can't. It's a transformation that fights you, but it's not well built, possibly because it's a mini bot. It's not full of die cast. It's fairly weighty, but this that I can't put together, the crack down the middle of it, is plastic. So of course, any pressure cause it to peg together easily becomes unpegged. There's no heavy die cast to clip it together. There's nothing to lock it in. There is one or two locking mechanisms, but not enough. I'm very disappointed. I think in robot mode it's as good as anything, but there is other offerings out there for a G1 Powerglide. I think the alt mode looks good if getting to it and securing it wasn't such a hassle. Now, I'm happy to be corrected if I'm sure I've done something wrong. Someone's going to tell me, oh, what you need to do is this first, then this, then that. I'd love to store it in this mode, but not if it doesn't stick together. Not if I can't get bits to bite in without pushing other bits out. I lose interest. And as I'm saying, I'm getting tired of transformations fighting you. I like a challenge. I like a puzzle. I don't want to be frustrated. This has left me frustrated. For a figure that I don't care too much about, I just took a punt on it because I like the look of the design. But that's not excusing its faults. It's many faults. As I said, I can't scrutinise Deformation Space Starscream for being so poor in transformation, one of the worst I've handled, and they give Fanstoys an easy ride. I can't. It's not good enough. And they should do better. Not that they're watching my videos, why would they care? But it's not good enough. if you're going to go through the G1 cast, if you're going to do more complicated stuff than Powerglide, silly old Powerglide, then get this right. You've got Scourge coming out. What's Scourge going to be like? You've got Fortress Maximus coming out. I mean, we got 2 other aerial bots coming out to combine. Their aerial bots are a much more simpler transformation than this. And they're bigger, they're taller. Again, I think the mini bot scale is the problem. I think it limits them to the point that they have to make it lighter. They have to make it XYZ to accommodate its size. I'm frustrated with it. I'm disappointed by it. And I've got more bad things to say about it than good. And it's a real shame because if I'm holding it like this, yeah, it looks great. I'd love to have that fighting in a dogfight with the Coneheads, like in the Girl Who Loved Powerglide episode. It's got plus points, but it's got far too many negative points. And based on this, I give this figure 2 Rodimus Star Badges out of 5. Simply isn't good enough, is blood boiling, is frustrating. And look, if I've done something wrong, I'm happy to be corrected. By the way, for what it's worth, I've since found out you can stick the gun on the underside of the jet. Still have no idea where this is going though. I just want it to be better than it is because it looks good in a CAD drawing, in a CAD design. The paint looks good. It should be good. Mini bots and Powerglide in particular shouldn't be a difficult design to tackle when you look at some of the other offerings out there, but it's not. And it's not a recommendation from me. It's not worth the money, and it's not worth a space on some people's shelves. But there we go. That is my review of Fanstoys FT-54 Warthog. I'll stick some photos up at the end. Thanks for watching, and as always, I will see you on the next one.